We stand a hungry queen. Look at the boss dapper vibes. So my TBR is both simple, but also wildly ambitious. How do you say this man's name? What up, my channel? Welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie E. This is Ravenclaw, and you're watching. I've been dying to film this video and it's finally here. In this video, I'm gonna be giving to you my Mythathon TBR for Team Earth, best team on Earth. See what I did there? As well as giving you some recommendations and suggestions for what books to add to your TBRs for the Mythathon. I'm going to be recommending 9 books for you, each that fit various challenges. My first recommendation is Circe by Madeline Miller, which I read last year and I loved to pieces. Circe is the daughter of Helios, and in Greek mythology, she is absolutely a villain character, but Madeline Miller took Circe and basically gave her a redemption arc, and this is a retelling of Circe from Circe's perspective. If you like ancient Greece, gods, nymphs, magic, witches, you're going to absolutely love this story. Circe fits 2 prompts for Team Fire. Read a character who is invisible to society because Circe is demonized by her entire family and society for being a witch. Read a book in which the main character must escape an immoral rule. Circe's father Helios definitely rules over her life in a way that is highly immoral. Then for Team Earth, we have read a powerful main character who is also very feminine. Also fits the prompt of read an award-winning work. This won the Goodreads Choice Awards for fantasy last year, I believe. And lastly, for Team Air, this fits 2 prompts. Read a book with a main character who must reinvent themselves. Circe must reinvent herself after she is banished to a mountain for like 3,000 years. And it also fits the prompt of reading about an unconventional woman. Next, we have The Beast's Heart, which is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling from the perspective of the Beast. God, that book was so good. For Team Fire, this book meets the prompts of read a book about a main character that is invisible to society, and it also fits the prompt of read a book where the main characters have to escape an immoral rule. For Team Earth, it meets the prompts of reading a powerful main character who's also very feminine. Belle's character is very powerful in the sense that she's very smart and compassionate, and I think that those are 2 very powerful traits to have, but she's also isn't afraid to embrace her femininity. This book meets almost all of the prompts for Team Air. Read a book that takes place under hostile weather conditions. This book takes place in the heart of a very brutal winter where the main character must reinvent themselves. Obviously, the Beast has to reinvent himself after he is turned into a monster. And read a book about an unconventional woman. And then lastly, this also fits almost all of the prompts for Team Water. Read a book that has a powerful sibling bond, where the main character has to battle an illness, if you consider the Curse of the Beast to be an illness, and where music greatly influences the story, or where one of the main characters is a musician, and Belle is a musician. I actually think the Beast character is a musician too. Then we have Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which is a great book to read in conjunction with Circe. This tells the story of what would it have been like to be a conquest of Achilles. What happened to the women in the cities that Achilles conquered. This is told from the perspective of Briseis, who is a queen when Achilles comes and storms her city and then takes her to be a slave. For Team Fire, this book meets the prompts of read a book with a main character who is invisible to society. Slaves are absolutely invisible to society. Team Earth, it fits a powerful main character who's also very feminine. Briseis is powerful in so many ways. She has such a fantastic narration style, and I also feel that even though she is a slave in this book, she fights back in all these small ways that I think are really important and really special. Then for Team Air, it fits the prompt of read a book where the main character must reinvent themselves, and it doesn't fit anything for Team Water, unfortunately. Next up, we have Girls of Paper and Fire, which was one of my favorite books of 2018, which is a Chinese Malaysian inspired fantasy where young girls are taken as concubines to the king until 2 girls in particular use their wit and their magic and their abilities to fight back. For Team Fire, this fits 3 prompts. Read a hotly anticipated book. Everybody and their mama wanted this book last year. Read a book with a protagonist that is invisible to society, and read a book where the characters must escape an immoral rule. For Team Earth, this fits the prompts of read a book with an LGBTQ main character, and read a book with a powerful character who is also very feminine. And lastly, for Team Air, this fits the prompt of read a book where the main character must reinvent themselves. Sadly, again, this book does not fit any prompts for Team Water. Then we have Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi, which is thus far my favorite book of 2019. This book is about Ada, who's a Nigerian individual born with gods inside of their body. Now these gods have possessed Ada and taken control, and it's about the struggle that Ada has sharing a body with more than one entity. For Team Fire, this book meets the prompts of read a book with a main character that's invisible to society. For Team Earth, it satisfies the LGBTQ character prompt. This would actually be an amazing book for Team Earth because the goddess for Team Earth is Oya, who is based in West Africa. The myths featured in this book are also West African myths. For Team Air, it satisfies two prompts: read a book with an unconventional main character and where the main character must reinvent themselves. And lastly, it fits the prompt for Team Water of read a book where the main character must battle an illness. Some people read this book as the gods in the story being alternate personalities, such as with dissociative identity disorder. However, the author Okweke has spoken about this being more a tale of magical realism than representation for DID. It is own voices in the sense that Okweke Emesi does suffer from this condition as well. Then we have Nama, again a book I've absolutely adored this year. It's a Noah and the Ark retelling from the perspective of Noah's wife Nama. It doesn't fit any prompts for Team Fire, but for Team Earth, it satisfies the requirement of reading a book with an LGBTQ main character and reading a book with a powerful but feminine main character. Nama goes back and forth throughout this novel questioning her gender identity, and it was one of my favorite parts of the story, figuring out whether or not to claim womanhood as something that she identifies with, and her figuring out what being a woman meant to her. Team Air, this is the perfect book for reading a book under hostile weather conditions because it's raining violently throughout the majority of this book because, you know, God is drowning the earth. It also satisfies the prompts for Team Air of reading a book about an unconventional woman. Nama does a lot of shit in this book that's unconventional for women, and a book where the main character must reinvent themselves, also for Team Air. Nama has to reinvent the whole earth basically in this book. And again, this is a book where Team Water misses out. Okay, 3 more phenomenal books until I get to my TBR. So The Wicked and the Divine are one of my favorite comic books of all time, and if you are a big fan of hallucinatory holographic style art, then you're probably gonna really like this book. In The Wicked and the Divine, every 90 years, gods are reborn as whatever is popular at the time. This time around, they come back as modern day pop stars. Each of the gods only gets 2 years to rule on Earth before they die for another 90 years and are reincarnated in the future. I mean, like, what? Absolutely stunning, right? The way that the gods are drawn, this book is amazing for LGBTQIA representation. Just so eerie and phenomenal and just, I love this book. For Team Water, The Wicked and the Divine satisfies the requirement of reading a book with a musician as the main character or where music is central to the story. These people are literally all musicians. And read a book with a pansexual, Jesus Christ, a pansexual or a bisexual male main character. I cannot talk today. If you're still watching this video, thank you. Hi, how you doing? Quality content. This satisfies the requirement of reading a book with a protagonist that is invisible to society. Team Fire, I think this satisfies the prompt of read a book where the main characters must escape an immoral rule because these gods are reincarnated and killed against their will by this one god who has all of the power. I don't want to spoil anything. For Team Earth, it satisfies the requirement of read a book with an LGBTQIA main character, a powerful character that's also very feminine. We have a lot of characters of all genders in these comics that are very powerful but also very feminine, and a lot of those characters are men, which I really love. Also, it satisfies the requirement of reading an award-winning work for Team Earth. This comic has won so many awards. And for Team Air, it satisfies the prompts of read a book where the main character must reinvent themselves and read a book about an unconventional woman. Second to last, we have Akata Witch by Nnedi Okorafor, which I read last year and really enjoyed. This is a book about a Nigerian albino girl named Sunny who finds that she is a witch and has powers. To be albino in her culture is looked down upon, and so she experiences a lot of subjugation, a lot of teasing, and just really horrible treatment from her peers because of the fact that she is albino. But her being albino turns out to be one of her strengths because it gives her an advantage in the magical world that I don't want to tell you because I don't want to spoil the book. Again, this doesn't satisfy any of the prompts for Team Water, but for Team Fire, this is the perfect book for reading a book with a main character that's invisible to society. For Team Earth, it satisfies the requirement of reading a middle grade novel. And for Team Air, it satisfies the requirement of reading a book about an unconventional woman, or in this case, an unconventional girl. And then the last book that I have is my beaten up, beloved copy of The Little Prince. This is an age-old classic by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I've read this book so many times and I was reading it in the bath and it got a lot of water damage because of who I am as a person. It's a really sweet, adorable children's story and it has so many themes and messages about loss of innocence and growing up and following your dreams. And I think that you can read it as an adult book or you can read it as a children's book because it really just has so many layers to it. So for Team Earth, this satisfies the requirement of reading an award-winning book, and for reading an adult book with a child protagonist or a middle grade book. And then for Team Air, it satisfies the requirement of reading a book where the main character must reinvent themselves. And I think this book is all about being a child and having to reinvent yourself as an adult so that you can fit into this very narrow mindset idea of who you're supposed to be. I also do think it's about being an adult and having to reinvent yourself back into being a child because you've allowed yourself to become so disconnected with the passion and the joy and the vision of what it's like to be a child. And you have to reconnect with that. I don't know if that made any sense. But it's an amazing book. It's also illustrated, really cute little illustrations, and it's a very quick read too. Okay, now for my personal TBR. So my TBR is both simple but also wildly ambitious. As y'all know, I am on Team Earth, which is hosted by Brittany the Bibliophile, and she has been cast as the reincarnation of Aphrodite. Before filming this, I was watching Brittany's announcement video, and I found that we both picked the same book for the prompt I'm about to show you. And I'm going to try to buddy read this book with her because I think it would be such a fun book to buddy read, and that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now, I have heard that this book is even better than Circe, which I can't believe because Circe was that good. This book satisfies the prompt of Aphrodite was known for having multiple types of lovers, so read a book with an LGBTQ main character. I was one of the few people who wasn't into Greek mythology as a kid, so I'm really excited about it now as an adult, and I can't wait to continue exploring Greek myths through the Song of Achilles. Next prompt is Aphrodite owned a girdle that contained all of her enchantments. So read a book with a powerful main character who is also very feminine. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean a woman. It can be a person of any gender who has a power, whether that's physical power, mental power, emotional power, whatever. There's so many different ways to be strong, not just physical, but also isn't afraid to be feminine because we have this really silly idea that anybody who performs femininity can't possibly be strong. So for this prompt, I have chosen The Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. Now, I've heard incredibly mixed things about this book, especially from watching everybody's reading rush vlogs. So just in case I have to DNF this book because I am very critical of YA fantasies as a whole, I'm coming ready with We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. The Wicked Fox is based off of Korean folklore, and it follows a female nine-tailed fox who survives by eating the hearts of men. We stan a hungry queen. But when she loses her fox speed, by consequence, she also loses her gummy host soul and is forced to become human herself. There's more to the plot than this. This is also a romance, but I'm trying to get into it as blindly as I possibly can. And there's two protagonists in We Hunt the Flame. The first one is Zafira, who is a hunter. She has to disguise the fact that she is the famous hunter feeding her city because she is a woman and women aren't allowed to pretty much any power or any control in the society that she lives in. And there's so much more to the plot than that, but it most certainly satisfies the requirement of a powerful main character who's also very feminine. She's not afraid to embrace her long hair. She likes henna. She likes attractive, delicate clothing. And I love that we have this really fierce hunter-gatherer main character who goes out and braves the cold in the name of feeding her people, but at home is incredibly sweet and family-oriented and soft and gentle and kind. I'm only about 70 pages into this book so far, and I can easily tell you that I will be shocked if this doesn't make my favorites of 2019 list because I'm enjoying it that frickin' much. The magic is so complex, the writing is beautiful, I love the characterization. I can't wait to read this and talk to you guys about it. Then we have worldwide artists continue to create beautiful sculptures in the name of Aphrodite. Read an award-winning work. This is where I shoot myself in the foot because I have chosen to read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is about to be made into a movie. I think it comes out in August, and it is a award-winning Pulitzer Prize work. And she thick, y'all. She thick. And I know that this is really ambitious given the fact that I'm about to show you another big mofo on my TBR, but I believe in myself, and if I start daily vlogs, I feel like it will inspire me to really tackle this work. Look at the boss dapper vibes I'm getting from Donna Tartt. Like, yes, my queen. I will absolutely read this book. Like, ugh. It's about a 13-year-old boy who miraculously survives a very dangerous car accident that ends up killing his mother. And he ends up moving in with this very wealthy benefactor. I think it's an uncle, I don't know. And through a wild, sordid chain of events, he ends up getting indoctrinated into this very dark and seductive criminal underworld. And lastly, we have Aphrodite is the goddess of procreation. So read a book that's an adult book with a child main character. Oh my God, I can't talk. Read an adult book with a child protagonist. Or you can read a middle grade book. And for this one, I have chosen Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky? how do you say this man's name? I'm actually going to be buddy reading it with the heart of my heart, aka Julia from Julia Sapphire. Super, super excited. And it's about a mother and her young son who have to flee the son's father who is abusive, and they end up moving to this rural community just to escape this man. Whereupon the boy goes missing in the woods for, I believe, 6 days, and then comes back with a voice in his head that tells him to build a tree house or a house in the middle of the woods, or else something really bad is gonna happen, and we don't know what that bad thing is. But Stephen wrote The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which so many of y'all absolutely loved. I still haven't read it to this day. This book is highly anticipated. It's supposed to be creepy, it's horror, she's thick, but this will satisfy the requirement of reading an adult book with a child main character. However, I've given myself a failsafe because if I don't complete Imaginary Friend, I will still be able to check off the challenges of reading an award-winning work and reading an adult book with a child main character, because this book satisfies both of those requirements. So even if I don't finish this book, I can still hit all of my prompts for Team Earth. And lastly, we have Read the Group book, which Brittany has so wonderfully chosen to kill a kingdom. Thank goodness. This book has been on my shelves for quite some time and I've really wanted to read it. It's a dark YA fantasy involving sirens, and I love the myths of the sirens so much, and I'm so excited to read it. Brittany gave an amazing synopsis of this book in her video, so if you really want to know more about what this is about, I would go click on her video because it was phenomenal. I'll make sure to link it below. She also gave y'all some recommendations in her video too, so another great reason to watch it. I have 5 books on my TBR. There's 6 books in the stack because I might replace the Wicked Fox with We Hunt the Flame, and if I have time, I will read them both. But yes, those are my recommendations. Very soon, I will be coming out with a TBR for books that are about myths that I haven't read yet. So there will be even more myth and lore-centric books coming your way on this channel very soon. Thank you so much for supporting me with the Mythathon. I hope y'all have picked your teams, and if you want to mix and match teams, if you want to just read the group book for all the teams, like whatever, do what you want to do. I'm so excited. I think that if I'm able to, by the grace of God, conquer this TBR, then I'm going to also try and do Team Air, being hosted by Lauren from the novel Lush. Lauren is the reincarnation of Goddess Oya for this readathon, and I am so proud of what she's doing with it. And her group book that she's chosen is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin, which I really want to read. So if I conquer Team Earth, I'm gonna also upload videos for Team Air. I'm gonna try and daily vlog for week 2 and for week 4, we will see. All right, y'all, if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you would join my Dapper family. Feel free to hit that notification bell so that you never miss any content from Bowties and Books. Until next time, stay sharp, and I will see you in my next video.